Yep.
All right, sounds like a plan. So first things first. I always like to start with a thank you because I really do want you all to understand that I really do appreciate every chance we get a chance to play. And this little hobby of ours is definitely that and so much more, especially during the last few years that we've had, the last few months, last few days, our separation from our reality. And so thanks. But for the record, this is officially Steel Heart, Rusted Soul prequel one-shot with Marcus and Ben. The title of the episode is To Be Something Stronger and Better. You must mostly unite with something else and melt. When we last left the coterie as a whole, they'd taken to the road. They'd taken Lamb and hidden amongst the children of the dusk in their hidey hole in Dalton Village, just the other side of the border from their home in Gary, while things spin and spun and are cascading off the ramparts at this point. Over the last few days, over the last week of their in-world lives, they've managed to bolster the security, make ties and connections to several of the children of the dusk, and settle into a secondary home of sorts here in Dalton. The truth of the matter is that connection very much makes us human. Those ties that bind, that either give wind to our sail or act as anchors to keep us from moving into castles in the sky. And that is no different for the damned. We open our night with Ben and Marcus having finished additional fortifications and Eric having disappeared off to Chicago proper, with Twinette's sharing of information that Eric, despite himself, is still working out of some semblance of loyalty to the lives lost. He is working in counterpoint to the shelter, and that is the most dangerous proposition. Based on the many gossips shared, the many tales told of the shelter, they are, without a shadow of a doubt, if anyone could compete with the exploits of the Wolfpack, it would be them. If anyone could compete with the barbarity and savagery that Chicago is known for, it would be them. What is known of the shelter is when they visited Dalton, they destroyed a landmark. When they decided to stand against the Primogen in Chicago, they were the victors. There's a missing, believed dead member of the governing body of the gleaming jewel of the Camarilla that has been laid at their feet as they're the cause of the Malkavian Primogen's disappearance and death. It's not the first time that rumors are circulated they assaulted the Malkavian Primogen. As far as many are concerned, it was only a matter of time before they put Newberry in the dirt permanently. And it seems that they succeeded, and not only succeeded, but got away with it. There are boogeymen, and then there are things that hunt the boogeymen, and the shelter is very much the thing that hunts boogeymen. So knowing that Eric is playing with fire is most dangerous.
Well, that doesn't seem entirely wise under circumstances.
It is not, as far as Twinette is concerned. She has never dealt with the shelter directly, yet supposedly Eric has dealt with them on multiple of occasions. However, the issues in front of the Gary troop is very much Ben's need to cover you all. with their exchange of information with Silk, there has been a course of action that they've laid out. We'll pick up with Ben presenting this information once again to Marcus. There is a necessary step that they need to take so that they can secure. And as strong, brave, and forthright as they are, the truth of the matter is, having time to thought about it, tactically it would not make sense to go into any power center of Kindred without a backup and an escape plan, especially as because of the Children of the Dusk outsider status, they don't know exactly all or most of the actual Elysians. And there's not definitive proof that the Adonis is an Elysian. Without that protections, there very much could be more than just blood on the wind. With everything that the Gary troop has lost in the short term, taking another hit, a major hit, is tactically unsound. So we pick up with Ben speaking with Marcus in regards to their plan for ensuring that they are not put to a point where they're backed into a corner and have no means of escape. How are you guys going to proceed?
We would have to... The first thing is, we're the guests here, so we don't want to drag our woes on top of theirs all into Dalton.
Aware of the fact that you're hiding out and we need to proceed cautiously. And I would never drag their names into it or give up the fact that they were where we were hiding, which is why I asked you to help me fortify their hiding place so that if worse comes to worse, they would still have protection. I know what Eric said, but you have to understand that they're looking at it from the point of view of someone shunned and hated and hunted. Of course, they're not going to trust any semblance of power here in Dalton. I had people in higher places. My sire's a privilege in Chicago right now. If I were to reach out to him and see if maybe he could tell me for a fact which places are safe to approach and which aren't, then we'd be better off. But we do, yes, I agree, need a plan. And not to go in there half-cocked, because that's what happened last time. We were ambushed and hurting and trying to heal, and then presented with this situation, and it went poorly due to certain members of our group and their inability to shut the fuck up.
Well, yeah, that meeting was a spectacular example of biting the hand that feeds. I did, in all the running around and trying to move to Silks and then trying to get out here, I did manage to get the important parts of my computer gear here. So I do have access to my funds, and nobody else does. I mean, I took a page out of Bernie Madoff's book, and I've hidden everything fairly well, but I need these computers to get to it. So, yeah, these had to come with us. But that means we have financial options that, short of Interpol, really can't be tracked. The Bitcoin are completely anonymous, and most of my accounting is done out of country. So, even the SASH will need days of paperwork and judges to try to even come close to it.
Well, then perhaps as a secondary measure of separating ourselves from the Duskborn to give them some safety, we look up a place of our own, just temporarily, or rent a house here, so that we can move away from them should things fall on us, which I'm going to try my absolute best to avoid. And I'm no politician, obviously, but I've lived as long as I have being able to move between groups, so I do know some things.
Well, I was thinking we could parlay my finances with your connections, and that would let us find a place to hole up quickly, limiting the Dustborn's exposures to our presence. I don't want to cut ties, but I definitely want to get a little physical separation, so...
At least we're agreed on that. I definitely agree and don't want them caught up in this, even a little. So, yeah, I maybe should reach out and see what I can find as far as information about Dalton proper, so that we avoid stepping on anybody's toes, and get some space from the Dustborn.
Yeah. And maybe we can take advantage of Mason's finances and lack of subtlety in wielding it and lay some false trails. Because I've seen some of his accounts, and dear God.
False trails would be nice, but what I'm hoping for with this meeting that I want to go to, that I can at least undo some of what was done, so that Mason would be far less of a target. We shouldn't have to keep looking over our shoulders, worrying about the kind and our own.
Absolutely. I definitely support the idea of trying to unfuck some of that conversation that happened. But the false trails would mainly be for the kind, because they will have teams of accountants trying to find us. And with a couple of well-placed purchases of stupid shit, Mason's money could lead them in 100 different directions and maybe pull them off us a little.
I'll leave that up to you. I'm more the leg person than tech genius, obviously. You need me to rebuild your carburetor? I got you. You need me to Swiss chocolate bank account? I no, can't do it. Sorry.
But we'll set loose Mason with one of his credit cards and tell him to buy things out of state, and that will definitely throw the Sash investigators something to have to chase down and maybe not come our direction. But is there anything I can do on the Kindred side? I know you're having a high-level meeting, and having a caitiff in tow probably wouldn't be the most political apropos move, but is there anything?
I don't know, you surprised me before, and I think you read people better than I do, oddly. I'd hate to say that, but it's true. You're a little more observant than I tend to be sometimes. So while I am razzle-dazzling them, maybe you can keep an eye on what their faces are doing, and either hand signal me to cut it off or encourage me further, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, when you're on the low end of the totem pole, it's good to watch people. I can definitely do that, but that's going to require a trip to the clothing store. He looks down at his Bazinga t-shirt and ripped jeans like, I am not fit for company.
I think we both need a small shopping trip, obviously pointing to the holes in their body still that are healing and their clothing. this is not meeting material. I need to go in looking at least presentable, my Bruja best, and so that they'll realize we're serious and that we are coming correct with this and wanting to not play any further games, I guess, or make further fools of ourselves.
So, a clothing trip, probably a gift trip. We don't want to show up with just our hat in our hand.
Correct. I think for that part, I'd have to look into any information I can find about them, about what they might like as a gift. They are a warrior, perhaps some sort of very nice blade, but I don't want to accidentally insult them that their blade isn't enough by getting them a new one. You get what I'm saying?
And he's a Volvoid, right? He's one of Joshua's people.
I guess they call them dragons. It's the stories of Dracula were based, I think, very solidly on these people, which is why they call them dragons.
But the physical manipulation they do, it's almost obsessive, like OCD.
It's a point of pride, if I can guess. It's like peacocks fanning out their tails. Look what I can do. I would never say that to Josh's face, mind you. But I think that's what it is. It's they do these things and don't stop to think, should I do these things? It's because we're the only ones that can do this, so we're going to show it off that we're better than you or something. I don't know. But definitely, what I was warned by Silk is to play to his pride and to realize that he is very old school. So I don't know exactly what that means, and it's weird because I'm already old school, but he's even older school than me, so I'll have to figure it out.
Well, I was just thinking, because, there are antique stores in the area. Maybe we can find, like, one of those old medical kits. You see them all the time. They come in a really fancy wooden box, and they have like really old school tools in there, like an old bone saw and forceps that look like they could pull out a whole liver in one go. Something like that might be appealing to him.
What, like it's a torture kit?
Not well. By today's medical standard, yeah, torture. But back in the day, they were considered, high art. They were, they spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars in the 20s on these things. So I'm figuring a nice antique surgeon's kit in a little wooden box. I see them in antique stores once in a while, but maybe some of the Dustborn can help us hunt one down.
So maybe like a apothecary surgical case with actual tools in it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm willing to trust you there. You're a guy, I don't know.
Well, I'm a geek about computers. You buy me a new motherboard and I'm good. They're a geek about changing physical appearances. If we could find an antique surgery kit, that might be their bag.
Yeah. Geek, and you're thinking like a geek. Says Falston as she comes in and sits down, a highly undisguised blood bag inside of a koozie with a straw sticking up as if it is in fact a Capri Sun. You ain't grabbed nothing to eat, so I figured you could probably use with a boost. But you're thinking like a geek. If, if, if all the rumors are true, this guy's a jock. Why would you get him something that a geek would like?
Well, there is always the weapon option.
Don't give him a weapon. Give him one of us.
Well,
Wait, what?
Look, you all. Pardon me, I'm sorry. I know we don't really talk all that much. You guys are so buddy with Eric and Twinette, but we've been watching you. Well, at least I have. Everybody else is too busy trying to make it through the night. I lost friends in every instance where Alexa has come down here, mainly because Alexa and the bulk of everybody else think that we're less, or at best we're signs of the apocalypse, at worst we're broken. We're not broken. We have the same drives both of you all have, that all of them have. And I don't know about you all, but just as freaky as those folks at the Pisketeers could get, just as wild as the people down at the Succubus can get, we can get that wild. You know why Julian and Aiden had their falling out. Julian's all fire and brimstone, burned down the entirety of the kindred. We've been keeping watch on most of the people up in Chicago without them noticing, because at best they think we're ghouls, and at worst they think that we're beneath pond scum, so we're invisible to them. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of us who wouldn't mind spending time with someone who really knows how to get the body moving. I'm trying not to be crass, but the truth of the matter is, sharing blood doesn't have the same effect on us as it does you all. You all start fearing for your lives, start fearing for your souls, and fight the pleasure that is there. If you could broker a peaceful, wild time, there's a lot of us who would not mind spending time giving and getting, if you know what I mean. And it's not something that happens every day.
Wait, sorry. I'm trying to process this in my head. You are wanting us to offer the Duskborn, consenting Duskborn, to Decibel for playtime? Pleasure? Hunting?
All of it. We don't get the full joy of being dead. We don't get the full joy of being alive. And touch, and she takes a step closer to Ben, meeting her eyes, her dark blue eyes and windswept hair, her skin still holding a hint of the sun's grace, and the fact that she died tan, and because of her state being between worlds, being a Duskborn, she's able to hold her tan. There has been a very long time I can't play with the living, not safely, because my hunger isn't as strong as yours, but it is very much in me to end them. I can't end one of you all, not easily, and definitely not in play. And from everything I heard about Decibel, I'm sure that a lot of us wouldn't mind. And she rests a hand on your shoulder, and it's warm, and it's not the half warmth that happens when you all blush. It is the warmth of actual living, though it's still not quite there. Not quite 98.6, but it's definitely far warmer than kindreds who have blushed. I breathe. I feel. And do you know what it's like going 20 years afraid that you're going to bite someone's head off? Do you know what it's like not being able to really give in to all your moments because you have to keep yourself at bay. Having hunger pains, and no matter how much you eat, you're still hungry. Getting the chance to play with a guy who doesn't mind, I'm a little cooler. Getting a chance to play with a guy who won't look on me as anything more than what I know what that's worth. Don't mind me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to intrude, but yeah, eat it up, nerd boy.
No, it's fine. This is seeming to be really strange to say, looking at Marcus, but I had very much the same thought. Not offering the desk horn, but offering myself. In much the same vein, I guess, as payment. But if you are saying that there are those of desk horn that are willing, and that Eric will not hold us in contempt for putting his people in danger, because that's not what I would want, I'm willing to go along with this plan.
So why don't you go make your negotiations? Say that we're your ghouls. Say that we're your servants. You get your playtime, we get our playtime. We settle not just the wholesome ideal that Eric and to a lesser degree Toinette wants us to uphold to, and she's the one that talked all of the two-faced double dealing. You know, I actually was supposed to go ahead and make contact with Mason, but she jumped the gun and did it herself in that little red hot rod of hers.
So wait, Mason was a mark?
You all were initially. We weren't friends. We were trying to survive. Eric and Toinette won't talk to you guys honestly, but hey, you guys are friends now, so we should have secrets.
Oh, yeah, definitely not having secrets. I'm all for that. And I mean, Mason's a big boy. He can handle himself.
It was a toss-up. It was either him or you, but he was by far the most easily approachable. Not many of us hang out in bike circles, and she looks to you, Marcus. Unfortunately, while we do have a few of us that make, it's mostly, you know, whittling and carving, not machines, ones and zeros.
Plus, with my experience in World War II, I probably would have smelled a mole a mile away if they had approached me. But by the time we met Toinette, they were already tightly intertwined, those two. So we didn't have a chance to vet or stop her.
So you would have tried to stop her? Why? Literally just trying to find a way to survive. How would you let it?
I would not. It's not that you were trying to survive. It would have been suspicion until we saw that you meant us no harm, and then I wouldn't have cared.
Huh. The old dingbat might have been right. He was like, you guys would probably eat someone's head first and then accept friendship second. That's the reason why we're supposed to go about it quietly. I just don't think that we should have. No offense, but don't take this the wrong way. But honestly, Julian has the right idea, but he should have been more like Aiden.
I don't know who either of those are, so you're gonna have to forgive me there.
Julian is the real head of the movement, the real head of the organization. Eric is more of, Julian is more of like the king, president, and Eric more like the Pope. People choose to be Catholic and have a choice as to how long they remain Catholic. Whereas if you're part of a country, whether you want to or not, the king and president has their rights. It's one of the reasons why we're kind of leaving cult of Julian. If he can't keep, a new booty from taking half of our members, he really isn't as strong as he thinks he is. Not true.
Wait, what is it? Half of the members? What do you...
Yeah, before Eric decided for the pilgrimage, after the shelter kicked our ass and killed 50, almost 60 of us. Well, right around the same time, actually. There's a new booty that showed up and started basically a cult.
Oh.
But it's not a real cult because their only goal is to party until they can't party anymore. Freedom and excess. He somehow finds a way to track down kindred and keep us away from them.
Well, now, since we're talking about it, I know what people say about the shelter, and I told Eric before that I feel like tales in accountings are often blown out of proportion. I'm not saying that they are not in fact dangerous, because again, I've seen several and heard several things, but what I would like to know is why these shelter people seem so intent on destroying the Duskborn. Was there some sort of clash over space, or wrongdoing on one side? What would make a group of Chicagoans so focused on people that, according to Eric, meant them no real threat?
She hops up on the table and pulls out a exceedingly and graphically long cigarette. It looks as thin as a paper straw and almost twice as long as the average cigarette. You know that it's not, and that a good portion of it is filter, but it is longer than most cigarettes you've seen. And she lights up. I don't know everything about that whole mess. I do know that Eric and Julian had words, and the shelter had tried to kill Julian's spiritual advisor, his teacher, one of the few kindred, one of the few full-blooded who was backing his play. And then there was a rescue attempt. It failed because, well, they killed Aiden and got information from him, clearly. And then they killed the people who went to try to get Julian's advisor out of there alive. Turns out they had buried her in an unmarked grave somewhere on the north side. But to get that little bit of information, it took almost 60 of us. And as far as why, the shelter is, I don't want to use this word lightly, but they're monsters. They really, really are. Like, Aiden was a goofy, but really didn't mean harm to anybody. Like, Aiden was the antithesis of every bad thing in Julian. Julian wants to avenge every wrong, not because he's loyal to the people that have been wronged. He wants to, by blood and fire, make sure people respect us.
there's strength in numbers, obviously, but if such a small group took out 60, I would just say maybe it's not smart to go picking fights with giants.
It's not, but Eric's stupid and loyal and figures he survived almost 200 years in being what we are. He's one of the oldest of us, him and Julian. And the only reason why Aiden even had the political power they did is because he just wanted us to live, wanted us to exist. And then his girlfriend got killed, so, you know. She got killed right here in Dalton.
I take it was at the disco thing that I keep eating about.
Yeah, that was a fucking horrible idea. Aiden called himself being the smart and kind and good upstanding person. Him and his girlfriend went there for the free eats and for him to make connections with that cross-dressing she-femme, Urzuli, to try to get their protection. And yeah, you see how well that worked out. You see how much most of you guys care about us.
Ben is listening, but also periodically throughout this kind of peeking at Marcus. Like, are you paying attention? Are you picking things up? Are you reading this person for possible bullshit? I mean, that's why I'm getting them to talk. Is that's the kind of glance they're giving over to Marcus.
Marcus is sitting listening to the back and forth because there's a lot of political talk that he's not quite getting, but the people talk he's understanding. So Julian started the group, started the Dustborn probably out of need, but he's a militant.
He is intense, man. Not a bad lay. He just cares more about fighting than anything else. Doesn't take time to smell of roses. Not that there's many around these days.
But he started it out as a mutual protection group, got angrier, and became more forceful, even though Aiden suggested not doing that. And Eric is a counterpoint to Julian. He's his splinter sect, let's call them, are more about staying out of direct conflict.
Yes, normally. But something about this last go round with them killing Nicole set him off. Like, no one avenges the dead. No one speaks for us. And while Julian is willing to set the whole world on fire, he really doesn't care about those that fall. Eric does.
Wait, who killed Nicole?
Well, we don't know for sure. There was a talk that it was a bear or a pack of wolves, but I've seen you guys up close and personal. Wolves and bears wouldn't be a problem to you guys normally. So I'm thinking that it's one of you guys that could shapeshift. And I know for a fact that the shelter have the ability to do a lot of shit, at least at Gordon and everybody else. The one guy who actually made it away from there, I haven't seen him in a few weeks, but he was talking about shadow monsters and a guy punching through people's chests. And here, I'll show you. And she pulls out her phone, swipes through to her messenger, and opens up a group chat. And it's literally, I'm out. They became shadows. What do you mean they became shadows? They became fucking shadows. They ripped people apart. I watched as this kid tore off Alex's head. Calm down. We know that they fight as well as Alexa. No, they devastated us. Just come back. We'll talk about it. Fuck you. I'm out.
Okay. Well, that shines a different light on things. The shadow monster thing, I can kind of get a grip on. Part of my training was to learn the clans, and there was a group, I think the name was Spanish, but I just called them shadow vampires because I really didn't listen that closely because they never let me out of the basement anyway. But they were vampires they were weird, like the warlocks. They could do magic shit with shadows, so that makes sense. The rest of it, we may not be talking about wolves or animals. The rest of it could be lupus or lupi. I don't know the plural in the Latin.
Eric did mention when we got here that there were lupine in the area and that they needed to be cautious. So I don't subscribe what happened to Nicole to the shelter, even though there seems to be some weird proof that they can shapeshift. It definitely sounds more like maybe the lupine. But why would they attack a primogen?
I don't know. Eric is playing this one closer to his shows than he needs to. It's not like I would tell anybody. You guys are friends. You don't count. But so yesterday, when this all happened, this took place. The service you all attended was because we had to move quick. The sunrise sunset is a little almost Elysium. It's kind of expected you don't do anything there, but it's still kind of out in the open for us. So we had to move quickly, and well, those were victims of Alexa, and Alexa was in Dalton, which shouldn't be possible, but she does shit like that all the time. Alexa is hell on wheels. She is this little cheerleader type blonde, and she carries a machete as long as my forearm, and she will purposefully miss vital organs to make the pain last. She figured out that we feel pain that you guys don't.
So for her, it's kind of a thrill kill thing.
Yeah. And with that, she raises her tank top and shows the section on her right side that still bears a horrible cesarean if done incorrectly, like someone tried to slice her through her ribs and into. She did this with a on fire machete. She said she wanted to test out ways to punish without killing and to see if I would heal back. She coated it in petroleum and lit it on fire, and her hand was shaking as she swung it. If I hadn't been chained up, I could have evaded. The best I could do was try to move my legs and try to get a swing going, and that excited her. Her exact words was, "Ooh, goody, a moving target." And she started laughing.
Well, let's hope we never meet that crazy bitch. Okay. But still, anyway, it's getting convoluted. I'm almost sorry I asked, but at least we know where we're standing now. And yeah, let's go do what we need to do as far as having Mason spend money elsewhere, and us go clothing shopping ourselves, and then get ready to go negotiate for trade, I guess you could say. Feels so weird saying that.
You trying to like dress super like super suit and tie sort of thing? Or you like,
I don't do suit and tie.
You'd look good with a suit and tie. Nice bolo tie and a bolero jacket. Look hot.
Then just kind of frowns.
You could even wear combat boots.
I put on a dress before I put on a suit.
Oh, you'd be so hot. Wouldn't she, Marcus?
You're asking the wrong guy. I dated somebody when I was 16, and it went poorly.
That sounds about right. I'd expect that.
Oh, that hurts.
But there's two places, like, depending on like how highfalutin you want to go, you can go to Dress to Impress. They're open until about 10. They're over on Sibley, and further down on Sibley is actually in South Holland. It's Hot Styles. They're open late too. The only other place is all the way over in Michigan. So whichever way you want to go. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's Ross, Dress for Less. Go in there with $40, come out with a whole outfit, maybe two, depending on if you find something on sale.
I think maybe slightly better than Ross.
Yeah.
Well, most of us just shop over at Hot Styles. Easy to get to. Nice dress jeans, decent shirts. Of course, it's hard finding anything in my size.
I'm thinking for this little meeting, I might go with a Men in Black look. Something nondescript.
Aren't you a little young to dress like Tommy Lee Jones?
Okay. That hurts a little. I think I could pull the black suit off.
No, you'd have to do something with your hair.
Nobody touches the hair.
That much is obvious. But yeah, you know it'll grow back tomorrow.
Ben is trying their darndest to keep a straight face and not laugh.
And think about it. Don't you want to live down your 16-year-old self?
Why? He's the one who made all the money.
Yeah, but you gotta live it. Anyway, eat your veggies. And you, she says, stubbing out her cigarette and hopping off the table, you need to get some sustenance in you too. You think nobody notices, but you two, unlike Doctor and unlike Mason and Twinette, don't really go out hunting this last week. And we know that's important for you both.
I take the Capri Sun.
Yeah, I noticed. I overheard you and watched you be squeamish with Mason and Twinette. I kind of figured that's where you were. You were a juice box kid. We don't have chicken nuggets, though. Supposedly. Nah, don't worry about that.
Business marks. Yeah, don't worry. I'll sort that whole situation out while we're out looking for clothes. just to make sure that I've eaten before we return. But I want from you, if you are willing to help us get together a list of those willing and consenting Duskborn to be made offer to Decibel, so that I know before we head there how many we have to offer.
Well, I know most of the guys willing, and some of the girls, and myself. I don't mind playing with anybody. In a past life, I was a saint. But yeah, you get your playtime in, you make all the negotiation, and the moment you have him saying yes, I'll have all the information you need. Right now, there's about 12 of us who'd be willing to dance across into the darkness. You know, Alonzo used to be a blood doll, be a little freak boy. Him and his cousin, that's the reason why they ended up like us now. He itches for it. You can see him sometimes sitting there with his cigarette staring at Mason and Twinette. You know, I never really appreciated public displays of affection before, but watching them two, you can see that it's something genuine.
And disgusting a lot of the time, yes.
It's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. It's kind of, a bit much and makes a lot of us jealous, but what are you going to do?
When you have to put it up with it as much as we do, you reconsider whether insulin would be a bad idea.
It's weird to me that as long as I've known Mason, and as sophisticated and old as they sometimes act, this whole Twinette thing has him thrown for a loop. He's behaving like a hormonal teenager. It's very strange to me.
What do you mean? Everybody needs appreciation. Everyone needs to feel as if they matter to somebody, even if that somebody's a shitheel.
Yeah, I suppose. All right, thanks. Let's get that going. We don't want to get too late. I'm sorry. If I knew a way to help with that or avenge, I'm not much of a vengeance sort of person, though. Yeah.
I never thought that Eric would be either, but you guys need to really talk him out of going this, because at best, it's gonna send the shelter and Alexa at Junior. At worst, I think he may actually try to track us all down.
I will, for what it's worth, if he will listen to me, I will pull him to the side and definitely make that a point to point that out. Because it does not, again, sound like it is very smart to be messing with these people at the shelter if they could kill 60 so easily.
Yeah, you should. I'm glad you guys weren't here to see what they did to the Queen of Spades. That was a real palace. Like, I grew up here, and that was...
Actually, looking at Marcus, Queen of Spades, didn't we hear something about that? With the... You know who? She makes a motion like a sash across her chest.
Yeah, I do remember the name.
Over the radio, they were talking about having been to Dalton before.
Yeah.
And in the area. Yeah.
And and they said something along the lines of easier pickings and easier, more obvious pickings over in Gary.
Yeah. So, I don't think it was these people that you're worried about the shelter. That was definitely the humans. They did whatever it was to that club.
Or the shelter sicked the humans on them. It doesn't sound like to be outside of their modus.
Perhaps. But yeah, it was humans that did the thing to the Ace of Spades at the shelter's behest, maybe, but mostly
Yeah, but
the Sash people are crazy.
Yeah, and they are overtooled. Yeah, we definitely need to talk to Eric when he gets back.
Well, I'll leave you guys to get changed and dressed and get going. And where's your phone?
Bottom of the river.
Yes. Here, take mine. It's already programmed with 2 of my burners, and I have it, the number memorized. Call me if you need help. Jeanette's probably going to be busy. Her and Mason went down into Chicago Heights to some bar.
Yeah.
And Eric's in the city, so technically that makes me a point person.
So we can get our shit together. Joshua's still working on Joshua. If you guys could make sure he gets some food.
He's a little freaky.
Yeah, he is.
And I don't take this the wrong way, but I think he likes to take it.
It's complicated, but maybe one of the 12 that are longing for some touch.
Okay, I'll talk with him and see if we can send anybody his. I've been trying to peg which way he actually goes, but he seems to watch everybody like he's taking us apart.
He does have a little bit of a weird scientific fetish, I guess you could say. But your kink is not my kink, so I don't want to shame anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, if that really is where he's going and that's what he likes, I know a few of us that like the rougher stuff. I just want to make sure. You don't want to send anybody, get anybody hopes up, and he turns them down cold. That sucks. You know what it's like to be rejected by your last ditch hope? Like you've already ticked off and settled and then settled and then settled and then settled and then you're still rejected.
I honestly can't say that I do, but I'm sure it's horrible.
You guys get all the fun. Anyway, you got a phone. The PIN code is 0000.
Marcus face palms. Okay. I'll take care of it.
And Faustin leaves you two alone again. The Capri Sun of blood still sitting there on the table.
Oh, I grabbed that bastard.
And it takes as vile as it should.
Beast's gonna have to live with that one. Sorry, buddy. This is what we got. Okay, so we need to go to that Hostiles place. Sounds close, which is probably smarter.
Yeah, I don't want to be out too long, get what we need to get back, get changed, and then get going. Just so that we can find this.
Do we want to give it a night? Let you
No.
Or do you want to hit this now?
I think it's important because it's been already too many days and it's been let linger too many days. I should be okay.
Okay.
Storyteller, how many days would you say it's been since I was first hurt?
Oh, you guys are fine. As far as aggravated, because this is the prequel for our actual episode, you're fine. You
Okay,
had
so
the time to heal the aggravated, but just like any mending, there's still the memory of it when you look there. It takes a minute to not memorize and envision the fact that it doesn't hurt as much as it should,
especially due to the cauterizing effect of some of the ammunition. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to get too much into it, but Ben would have used blades to kind of cut the cauterized skin out as they were healing so that it healed normally instead of around the cauterization.
Yeah. Kindred mending is a thing to behold. And it is definitely a driving factor in not actually being alive. Because it is a mending. It is the vitae filling and smoothing over into what appears to be new flesh, but is in fact just more dead matter. It is one of the psychological aspects that most kindred woefully overlook. It's kind of like the nose on your face. You see it so often, your mind automatically out of place until you find yourself staring into a mirror and realize, oh, I have a nose. It's not just a blind spot that my mind plays tricks on me.
Okay, so we're all healed up. Yeah, so then definitely she's gonna be like, look, I've healed as much as I'm going to. We need to get this done. It's already been let sit for too long. He's probably had all manner of time to destroy who knows how much of Mason's properties and things if he started. So I'm trying to nip that in the bud.
Right. I take the phone over to the computer real quick. Whatever little corner of the room I've taken over. Mm-hmm. And I upload my 5 basic apps to it. Try to secure it up as much as possible before we leave. And I changed the passcode. Oh my God.
You realize you're going to have to change it back when you give it to them because they're never going to remember whatever the hell it is you put.
Maybe. I'll let them sweat it out for a couple days. But getting new equipment is going to be a requirement. But I gotta convert more cash for that.
Alright, so we set to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. I got my untraceable Benjamins, so we are set for shopping.
Is there a particular style that you're looking for in regards to arriving dressed decently?
Well, I'm supposed to be a hanger-on, so clean suit that fits, basic style, blends into background.
And you know Ben is all about that rockabilly, so they're going to go, like you said, they'd rather wear a dress than a suit, so they're going to go with one of those retro style halter neck, extremely fluffy skirted dresses, but they pair of kitten heels and do their hair in victory rolls.
Well, now, the change is instantaneous. Marcus watches as Ben goes from waifu to full-on rockabilly, and it is a bit of culture shock. You've never seen Ben's legs, and the fact that they are as well shaped as her biceps and deltoids is a little scary. Like realizing your sister is as strong and potentially deadly as you feared growing up. Seeing the fact that Ben is not just nice toned arms is a life-affirmingly scary moment, because there's someone else standing there with Ben's muscles, which means that there's a chance that there's an absolute 100% threat there.
She's definitely like She-Hulk, or I want to say Chun-Li looking with the body shape.
Yikes. Unfortunately, Marcus doesn't reveal any massive change other than the ability to wear a suit. The black makes him look slightly thinner, but standing still, he looks completely innocuous, like he could be furniture if he really put his mind to it.
Good thing he does not put on sunglasses, else he very much would. There was a movie not too long ago, Harsh Time, with Batman, Christian Bale, and that's how thin and wiry, but still strangely athletic Marcus is. Putting on a black suit, he looks either like a first-year detective or a tenured member of some crime family. Their consigliere who sent in to purposely make you a deal that is insulting enough that you take offense and extensive enough that you're tempted to take it all the same. His long wispy hair pulled back from his head, he definitely like the sort. You're not sure how dangerous he might be in a suit.
And his pistol, the one that he was given way back when, all of a week and a half ago I think it was, gets tucked in the back. I think we are ready. I think we can be scary and communicative at the same time.
There's just a moment of Ben. It's random how many times that they've had this happen to them recently, but sometimes Ben forgets they're female, obviously, because they're a bike mechanic and they're always kind of grubby a little bit or dressed rough and tumble. Their clothes are a little messed up sometimes because they shift at the drop of a hat. But at Silk's that one night with their new friend, and now in this dress, it's like, oh, yeah, I do have boobs. And then they're like nervously smoothing the dress and biting at their bottom lip, which is the most blood red possible, and they're just like, okay, and they like turn around, skip away.
I don't know what you were going for, but you found it. You look great.
I miss my boots. I miss my jacket. But okay, let's do this.
I'm wearing a tie. Suck it up, Buttercup.
You all are car, moving towards the door to get back to the rental van that you absconded into Dalton with. Faustin whistles. Oh my God, don't it look like you guys are going to a ghetto prom?
Really?
Here, take my car. Yeah, you look like the, trailer park prom going on here. Like a cross between, anyway, I don't want to accidentally insult. You guys look good. But here, take my Chevy. It's just an Impala, but it's definitely better than, and she points to your rental. When she says it's just an Impala, you're expecting the new boxy models that are based on the Euro design. No, you're not that lucky. She has a 67 Chevy Impala with the leathered top. It's not convertible, but the two-tone makes the racing stripe up the car stand out all.
Is it all black?
No, it is a midnight with a burnt sienna racing stripe and a black hood, black top.
I think I almost got far too excited.
Marcus steps back and lets Ben be Ben with the car for a minute.
And they do. They like hands flailing and they're like staring at it like they're in love. And they're just kind of like petting it. Oh, you're so pretty.
I lean over and go, so does it come with the supernatural Dean and Sam weapons kit in the trunk, or?
Funny, haha, it's my dad's car.
I was hoping.
It's the last thing that he left.
It's glorious.
So I assume I'm not allowed to drive.
No, I'd mess my dress up if I was driving. But on the way home, I'm driving it.
Oh, wow. I actually get to use that. Marcus is shocked. He's like, I get to drive?
Don't make me regret it.
It is as worthy as any car that you have been behind. Not an extraordinarily modern, fine-tuned, but from the start of the engine, you can hear the care that has been put into it. It is clear that not only has the maintenance been upkept, but lovingly cared after with weekly adjustments. And you hear the 396 4-speed that's under that engine growl to wakefulness. And it is clear that it is 100% original parts.
Not gonna lie, Ben's a little turned on.
Not gonna rev the engine. Not gonna rev the engine. Not gonna rev the engine.
And so as Marcus revs the engine to make sure that everything, all the timing is proper, there is that music that only gearheads and those who appreciate cars can hear. It's the sound of all pistons firing in line as they should. It is the sound of an honest to goodness carburetor, which you don't hear on modern cars at all. It is the starter giving off that small hiss behind its firing. And for a moment, for a split second in time, all is right with you.
Okay, Queen Ben, you ready to do this?
Yeah, as ready as I'm gonna be.
The drive to the Adonis is unlike most of the drives you guys have taken. Peaceful. It gives you an opportunity to take in the larger area of Dalton. It's a relatively short drive, surprisingly short. And the saying that the best place to hide is right underneath someone who comes barely out of the dark, because it is literally a 6.5-minute drive. Luckily for you all, you're paranoid and you circle the block once or twice, lengthening the time of the drive. But the children of the dust literally are hiding right under the nose of the dome of the city, invisibly impossible.
We need to get away from them ASAP.
Yeah. Or at least get Mason away. Holy crap.
The Adonis is a premier, do a drag show every night. They do a walk every 2 weeks. They are the proof ground. This is the approximation as to what level the Adonis is. This is all around our city. This is the proof ground for that next big step. Baton Club in Chicago, or one of the other more known shows where it is alternative entertainment. You are at a place where all walks of preference, life, style, and willingness to entertain and be entertained meld into this bright, glittering thing that is inescapable, indescribable, and wholly its entity. This is the place where little he, she's, theys, them together, and the allies of the hetero lifestyle blend into this soup that makes it seem as if for one night, sometimes more, that everyone can live and mind their own business and enjoy each other simply being. The building is a burnt red brick that is self-standing, and when you walk in, there is the loveliest young lady dressed as Robin Williams, shorts, the Hawaiian shirt, and she's moving through of his frantic sets and keeping pace. It is a thing to behold as the crowd laughs and takes in the skill with which she's delivered material. It's clear that many of these people are regulars. There's the booth that is lovingly appointed with memorabilia. There are the walls are lined with headshots, and professional session will have taken all sorts of things. There's sign, billiard, every show. And sitting mid-bar is the Dom of Dalton. Unlike most kindred establishments or places of Muslim, obvious security. There's no 7-foot-tall doorman. There's no gaggle of dogs, cats, ravens, or anything. And Geneva is unforgettable in their indescribable stance. Geneva is Geneva. And they sit there in the center of the quietly and subtly. You see, Marcus and Ben, you've seen members of Clan Toreador in near full press. You've seen how Soul can handle situations. You've seen how explosive Mamela and Mason could be, and how they demanded and discerned what was appropriate and what was not quite there. Yet that haughtiness, that elitism isn't there in Geneva. That same air of style, however.
Been flabbergasted, but also realizing that the fact that they don't have security around them means one of two things. They're just that damn confident they can handle themselves, or the security is way better at hiding than we think, both of which are bad things.
I agree. I was fully expecting to have two gorillas watching the front door.
Almost a little scary that there aren't, but we're in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's do this. And been very carefully. Is there like a bar?
Yes.
They will carefully head to the bar first.
It takes up the entire west wall.
Yeah, they're gonna go to the bar first. They need something in their hand to hold and maybe sip to kind of calm themselves.
And Marcus is going to follow the half pace behind like a good little minion. And wait till Ben is seated and then take a stool next to her.
There's always something that is distractingly scary about going to the zoo later into the watching cats with a far too human understanding of what's going outside of their cage. That's the look. That's the will have being this close to Jenna. They are aware of you and patiently waiting for you to get close enough to the bus or foolishly hop into their environment.
Having my own animal side and my own beast that is a little more close to the surface than most kindred, other than other gangrel. I'm aware of this tactic, and it makes me cautious, but I mean, there's no point in beating around the bush all night, otherwise we're not going to get anything done. So I order my drink, which is probably going to be like a whiskey neat or whiskey sour, one of the two, and turn sipping it and make eye contact with Genoa. Raise one soft brow and then slowly turn back towards the bar.
The bartender looks from you and nods. And then finally finishes your drink and says another. Darling, this is on. the mistress, the maestress of the house. You all may want to say thank you.
I will take that under advisement. And Ben very carefully takes the second glass, or whatever drink it was that they were offered, and walks it very carefully to Genevive's table and puts it down, giving it a very small spin with their hands. Thank you for the drink. Do you mind if I sit?
I have no mind at all when it comes to such thing. Choice. I prefer could remain or begin as friends. It is clear that you don't care if one of us is noticed. She looks from Ben to Marcus and back. What brings you both here?
A hopeful making of amends for a mild faux pas elsewhere.
I see. Faux pas only mild when... So, did you offend?
I didn't quite get that last bit. What was that?
A faux pas is only mild and is not inflicted upon you. Did you offend?
I personally did not, but one of my party did, which is why I'm here, hoping to make amends. They were impetuously and stupid.
Oh, that sort of conversation. That is interesting that you... There's no such thing as a coincidence, Emma. Very well, right this way. They stand, and their ensemble is a almost perfect balance of the masculine and feminine in place at the exact same time. Their pants, which you're close enough to realize are in fact slacks, look and move as if it is just a very long skirt. Their shirt beneath the jacket is the frilliest, laciest pirate shirt you've seen, yet somehow masked whether they actually possess breasts or not, and yet you have the inclination that they may be able to mustache despite their very feminine seeming features. There's all sorts of fluidity and existing on both sides of the spectrum at play.
Ben is fairly intrigued by this. They're not as like in the way that Joseph would be trying to examine and pick apart. It's more of a, interesting.
Marcus is trailing behind, trying to play his part.
As you all move through the crowd, trailing behind you, realize that most of the eyes back to the stage, they're still laughing and engaging, but each person you pass just takes a quick glance, viewing the entirety of you. They're sizing up your ensemble, sizing up what made you choose that, sizing up the fact that you're wearing or not wearing that outfit, and it is, as you notice it, the first time, okay, second time, maybe, but as it becomes a standard procedure, you realize that everyone who entered this place has been equally judged, rated, and marked, which means there would be nowhere to sneak into this place without as you all move aside the stage, back into dressing area, into the preparations, then past the kitchen into what is effectively a waiting area. It is appointed with several slump couches and love seat. There's a TV keeping a watch on what's happening on the stage. It's muted, but this is a full next act. Never enters, waits for you all to walk past them and closes the door. Taking a seat on one of the love seats, crossing one. So, we have a meeting of the Senate later tonight. Quite a few parties will. I can perhaps make an arrangement with someone that you're seeking to meet, or is it something that better done private?
Perhaps you would know them more than I do, so that you could lead us in a direction as to how best to approach Decibel. Is a hard one to read.
Of course he is. His face doesn't, as it should. It's all of the work he's done to himself. There's only so many times you can change your face. Plasticity sets in.
Well, there, who we need to make contact with and who hopefully we can smooth at least some of the rough edges that happened recently.
Well, I am very sorry for our state of being. Very little due to dissuade that bad blood. And most that's down to how much you're willing to bleed for him.
We do have something on offer that he might be interested in, actually, but again, that would be for his ears if he wishes.
Of course, I can understand. I will do a small step better for a cost, of course. Being as this issue is clearly not what pertains to the city, our village as a whole, this is more of a personal debt. To relay the information in a peaceful what happens after, I cannot promise nor give any guarantees to. However, to broker your safe passage with conduct a conversation and make you offer
safe passage both in and out.
Of course, but very good to assume. So, my cost is quite simple. Though you may not feel as such. We have recently privy to a slew of bad tidings, bad timings. I need you to engage in a point of skullduggery and potential assassination.
Ben is lucky they were not drinking anything because they would have choked. But their eyes go temporarily widened and then they pull themselves together. Assassination.
Yes.
Anybody we know?
It is doubtful. It must be done within the next few hours as well. Fortunate.
That seems a lot, but I suppose we have asked a lot.
Yeah, you and your associate, or perhaps just your associate, has managed to somehow insult and verbally accost the chief advisor to the Decibel is a force, for good or for ill, and he is a valued member of our Senate advisor. And while your debt may be personal, keep him from torturing whatever information he needs from you in regards to your associate, to ensure that his many revenants don't follow you, trail you, cause God knows untold damage, to ensure that he is on not only his best behavior, his safest behavior. I need you to kill Jack Undine. I'll even tell you I can help you make this decision. You see, Jack is right hand of one of our senators. If I move directly against them, Felix would have a horrible time of things that make it far worse than it used to be. We've recently experienced loss of a senator, and Jack, because they are so close to Felix, most assuredly pursue that position as a senator on our council. I can't allow that to happen. So to prevent Jack from becoming an issue, Jack must cease to be. And you are outsiders. But there's no proof that at the behest of any of us, and it would not be at the behest of their competitor, which they are not.
You said skullduggery would be involved as well.
Yes, you must make sure that when it is found out, because it most assuredly will be, that all information towards someone else. Make it an obvious assassination if you are able to point towards yourself and to you. However, I wouldn't have very capable security of it. And he will search the ends of the some from end your existence if he remains unliving. So I'd prefer if you collect information, minor bits from the Freeman house, and make sure when the detailed information found, they point to Naomi Freeman. Do you believe this is possible? Something that you might do, that you'd be willing to do?
Ben's kind of thinking back through, have they heard any of these names before?
Yes. Naomi Freeman is a vaunted blood. They run several shelters in the city itself. The fact that there's a Freeman house in Dalton means that they are operating in a multiplicity of domains for themselves.
Jack doesn't sound ring any bells though. Just Naomi.
Yeah. Unless, of course, Unless, of course, either of you have spent a considerable amount of time and around Ventru in the southern suburbs. Jack is a traitor to the Bloods. They are treated as if they are part of Kata, but they are knight errants for Ventru. They were part of few notable Ventru who left the tower openly and managed to survive.
They're Ventru?
Yes.
Well, that sheds a interesting light on it. And the object is to make this Jack person disappear, leaving behind no ties to yourself, ourselves, or whoever he's in competition with for promotion.
Yes, that would be the nut of it all. The question is, are you tainted?
Well, the information control is easier. But arranging for somebody's disappearance in hours is tricky.
How tricky can it be? You set a fire. You run them off the road. You shoot. And continuing shooting until they enter into torpor, at which point you remove their head. You burn the remains. You make it as graphically obvious as something foul befell them. All while obfuscating your own interests, your own aims, your own hands, and
And the best case scenario outcome for Naomi in all this? What light would you want us to shed on her as much or as little as possible?
as much as you are positively able. I'd like to free up another senators and keep Naomi from doing what it is that the Blue Bloods are known for doing. There's a reason that she initially hid her ties to Chicago. However, being as we have a compact of acceptance, once accepted, unity. And part of our community means the village work together. And so it is time that her machinations, whatever aims she was aiming, are ended. Two birds, one stone. The stone, of course, being you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the question becomes, are you both up to the task? Or do I have to release Decibel and to truly lose at the church?
No, we can manage it. I'm good with physical things. They are obviously good with information. Between the two of us, we will find a way.
Excellent. I am so glad to hear. Would you prefer a small aperitif before you begin the assignation of evening?
I recently ate.
Yes.
Marcus seems just distracted. Ever since the word venture came out, he's definitely in thought.
I'd not trust feeding after that request either.
Ben is not so, I guess, I'm not saying not cautious, but they are indeed probably needing to eat something before we go on any sort of strange murder spree. So, actually, yes, I could probably use something before we leave, and it'll allow me time to think about how best to manage what I have to do.
Excellent. I'm glad you're so trusting. Do you have...
Handsome.
Very well. I take it that you, Mr. Security, remain flee you aren't squeamish. Jacqueline can be quite the scream. And with that generous stance, inclines her head in a smile and exits, leaving you two alone for a second.
Okay, what's up? Because you got really weird silent. There's something going on. I mean, this is not ideal by any means, but we can't let Decibel loose on any of the coterie. If I have to make somebody disappear to keep us safe, then I will do that.
Oh, that's not my problem. The disappearing of Ventro is exciting.
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. You have kind of a thing. Yeah.
It never occurred to me that I would be in a situation like this.
Don't say I never did anything for you.
We can definitely do this. The information part I can do. Whatever he's hiding, paper, plastic, in a computer, on a phone, I can get it.
I think we should know what Jack looks like first before we assume. It might be we're looking for a guy and it's a girl, or a girl looking for a guy. We should know for sure first.
Well, for me, the important thing is the blood. And the fact that his is blue, or her, or them, is all the incentive I need. The Naomi is going to be trickier.
Yeah, they want it tied to Naomi. They want us to get proof and sprinkle this proof at the scene so that it looks like Naomi did it. But if Naomi is as smart as the rest of them, how stupid would they be to get that quickly caught? You don't think there's like...
If we can get to Jack, all we have to do is leave something there that ties it to Naomi. Right? I mean, that would be...
Yeah, but that's what they're saying, that we need it to as blatantly tied to Naomi as possible. But then I would think that they would be smart enough not to get that quickly caught. So it can't be too obvious.
Well, I'm thinking is... we leave something at the scene that mentions Naomi, but Naomi doesn't know about. That way she looks more guilty trying to defend herself.
You know, Naomi with the whole shelter thing. Maybe we can tie that into.
Yeah, he's Freeman House.
Maybe there was a falling out, or Nicole put out, or sorry, Naomi's, too many ends in the city. Naomi put a hit out on Jack through some weird memes and it was supposed to get covered up, but Jack finds out about it too late or something and gets the evidence, and then when they get killed, they get found that the evidence leads back. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh my god, I'm horrible at this. I'm not a spy.
Makes sense. We can... I mean, it could be as simple as if Jack has a phone on him, we type in a text but never send it that mentions Naomi. Something along the lines of, Naomi, why did you send these people after me? Come up with a faction name, maybe make it look like a hit by Sash, an explosion. They like explosions, we could use an explosion. But don't send the text, just leave it in the phone, so that when the body's discovered, they find the phone, they look at him, he was trying to text as he died.
Perfect. I like it. Let's do that.
Do we want to do a flyby at the Freeman house?
Yeah, that would help us. It would help us know Nicole better or Naomi better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jacqueline enters into the green room, not knocking, not announcing themselves. They arrive. They are 6'5", predominantly legs, red and auburn hair, bright green eyes and freckled like Pippi stocking, a bosom that is easily 3.5 hands worth to try, and hips designed to bear not only children, potentially livestock as wide as they are. And then she speaks. Her voice is 2.5, maybe octaves lower than Marcus's at his deepest. I understand that we are to exchange a few fluids.
Ben's face right then is all manner of looking at Marcus for the first time in forever, like, a little help?
What do you want me to do? Even I'd need rope to climb that.
Now don't go getting all shy. We have as much time as you need. And they begin undoing the collar of the gown they are wearing. It is which makes their eyes sparkle. But as they undo the collar, you realize that is one of the longest necks you've ever seen, ever. And the rise of their book is 100% all them. They don't do anything as garish as their dress, but it might as well, just collar is undone and there is enough bosom, neck, and clavicle showing that even a burlesque dancer blush. Looking between Ben and Marcus, they assume that it's Marcus who's distant. How much of your fluids will I be taking?
Wait a minute, say that again?
How much of your fluids will I be taking? Be shy, this is supposed to be an exchange.
Oh, I'm full up. Ben here was the one that needed a meal.
Oh, I was so sure it's pale. Well, maybe next time. They run a finger from his jawline up to the tip of his chin. Have the time of life. Moving to Ben, I'm sure someone as worldly as you, as beautiful as you are, has every idea to have you.
There is still a very slight, like if you've ever confused a dog, that is what's going on in their face right there. But then they kind of snap out of it, and in their brain they're like, okay, it'll be okay, we'll get this over with and we can go. Geneva set me up. But
Jacqueline sits down on the nearest seat available to Ben. You stand up outside of you. But, and then they rest a hand on Ben's knee, and the vitality of their life begins to slow Ben's cold flesh. Tantalizing.
Ben looks back at Marcus and gives them the head nod of, you should probably head out because you're not going to want to see this. Doesn't say that, but it kind of gives them the head of like, yeah, out. I'll meet you outside.
Marcus puts on his best enforcer face and bows out of the room.
Stepping out into the room, Marcus is greeted with a few armor carrying, just double checking their positioning, and like an army heading into battle, they ramp themselves up, and the head dame of this particular quartet clears their throat, says, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to go on. I need everyone to be perfect. We are at our lowest perfect. We are better than any of the other performers. We are better than any of the other acts, and we will make sure everyone remembers our name. Perfection is what I demand. Perfection is what provide. Perfection is what be. All together now, on 3. And they count off and yell perfection. When they do, the melding of their voices like instantaneously know that they will not be lip syncing. They be seen. The harmonies that they inspire by harmonizing the perfection as such volume is enough to drown out Jacqueline's initial soft that grow loud as they give themselves hope to the pleasure.
Marcus positions by the door and listens. He doesn't deal with this kind of harmony and vocal singing very often, so he is impressed.
as they go on and perform a medley that somehow goes from ABBA to the Four Tops without losing tempo and without losing audience. There is nothing but appreciation as Ben is suddenly there at his elbow listening to through that melody. There's a moment when giving pleasure that it begins to reverberate back. The moment that Ben gave herself over to getting what she needed from Jacqueline, it was as if a switch was thrown. Jacqueline not only giving, but good and gain. They had not as much sophisticated training and silken smoothness as Silk's trainees, but it is clear what they lacked in training, they made up for it with enthusiasm. They were enthusiastic. They were phenomenal. If it was an act, there's no doubt in Ben that they could fool the devil himself. Pleasure that Ben could feel, scent on skin, still has her Ben with a bit of contact high.
After getting properly untangled with their new friend, they will discreetly make their way out of the back room, making sure that their mouth is wiped and that their dress is in place. They're smoothing the skirts again. And then seeing Marcus, it's quick, like, okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I fall in line behind Ben. This time I'm the one trying not to laugh.
As you make it back out to Faust and Paula, there is an immediate touch of understanding. Imagine if Marcus could not taunt his beast with bland, disflavored, bagged, and if Ben could not have the pleasure that comes feeding on nothing more fed upon. Multiplicity of not just days, weeks, or months, but for years. It gives an inkling as to what Faust and Hope experienced. Imagine not being touched or being able to touch in the manner that most pleases you. Imagine not being able to inflict the punitive pleasure of teasing and tormenting. Imagine not being able to get that which most sets you at peace and pleasure for decades. And looking on the car and thinking of Faust, Ben, and this was too crass, direct, and we oversharing Faust and not being able to. So where are you guys off to?
Definitely first stop would be the shelter that they only rent.
Yeah, the Freeman House.
There are some places in the world that are center of healing, help, and hope. When you all drive Dalton, it is a village that is of those three things. For while it is not as desolate, desecrated as Gary, it is a city that has never been. Not on that level. Dalton, much like Gary, was a city of makers. They managed to not as far because they never made it as high. And yet there's still that spirit of no retreat, no surrender. Every other block, every other building, there is a business of some sort, in either an activity or going to. This is a place where people have not only embraced the American dream, but they use it as a religion. The city of people that in any other place, at any other time, that's their spirit of proprietorship, their spirit of self-employment and pulling themselves up by their bootstraps would be commendable. Here in the shadow of Chicago, on the wing of Gary, there's a certain sadness at their blind faith and hope that by opening a business, by having a business, by creating a business, that they will reach the pinnacles of their financial paradise. And statistically, that won't happen. 5% of, and yet their efforts, hopes, their dreams are emblazoned on their homes, on vehicles, in their upstairs windows, basement. You see banners and placards for businesses. You see the entrepreneurial spirit on a mob. And as you, through the city, coming to a stop across the street from Freeman House, it is a center that help, that hope. It is strangely home. It is a 2-story gray brick building with an add-on that was done years after the construction. It's an oddity in Dalton as it's here predominantly 1-story, perhaps 1.5-story, 2-story gray stone. And on the porch are several, various ages, starting at early adulthood to middle age, and they're talking, smoking, laughing. And it's that laugh that is clear surprises the person who issued it. These are people who we didn't have an opportunity or not to laugh freely, honestly. Did you make your drive around the block, around the building alley? You see that the backyard there are several small gardens, several small plots carved out where fruits and veggies and seasoning being well lit and upkept. You're sure that this is probably their daily task, tending the garden, taking care of the grounds, and being taught how to live subsistently if push came to shove. So if these were ever given the opportunity, things going wrong for them again, they could continue living. They can make do for themselves. Freeman House is a shelter. It's an outreach house for women. There are clearly not just women present, as you see a few male faces in the window, back porch, and moving through the property. But it is clear that their folk is uplifting and supporting.
Well, this isn't exactly what I expected. I'm assuming we take a spin around the building. Other than the obvious, what kind of structural detail? Fire escapes, windows on the first floor.
Windows on the first floor, windows on the second floor. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll plus larceny or witch plus investigation, whichever is higher? Ben? You were saying?
Seeing all this, they have a moment of, crap. Because all the good that Naomi seems to be doing, they're about to potentially undo. And that's a little bit of a, should we really be doing this moment? And then they remember the promise Decibel made to Mason, and that solidifies it's either them or us right now. So Naomi might be able to clear their name and keep their shelter, so obviously we need to do this still.
Well, what do you think, the direct approach, or do we try to sneak in? Because we've got to figure out something in here that we can bring with us. I just can't see a blue blood having something like this without an ulterior motive. Even if it is just beefing up the livestock.
Potential investors. Maybe we can go in as, not a couple, because it's just not gonna work. But like we want to help the shelter and give them some money, and we'd like a little bit of a tour and to talk to whoever runs it and see what information we could possibly get from that.
That could work. Building like this is probably a maze on the inside, so trying to sneak around and find something would be problematic.
Especially as we have a timeline. They wanted it done within the next couple hours.
Yeah.
So you guys drive around to the front of the building and park at the curb. When you pull alongside of the curb, the women on the porch, three of them duck back inside, but the eldest, the more matronly of the stoop on the front porch, she looks in her little wide-bodied, but and well used by time. She takes a step down, standing more firmly on the steps leading up to the building, the front door, and she watches and stares. Notice is always a prohibitive factor when it comes to crime in most areas, and it's clear that she is aware of that very facet, as unlike most, she doesn't think it's going to be a drive-by. She thinks that something may be going wrong. She's paranoid and immediately confrontational. Based on her width and musculature and age, it is clear that she has spent a lifetime potentially doing far worse or having far worse attempts against her, because at the first sign of difference, the first sign of potential danger, instead of moving away from it, she moves towards it. She's directly and openly staring at the vehicle.
Well,
taking note of that, I'm going to do Blush of Life.
me as well.
Thankfully, haven't eaten before. This kind of just takes a little bit of an edge of to the hunger, but not too much, seeing as how they fed beforehand.
Having fed the beast is its impatient, demanding self, but having fortified with a bite here and a sip there, it's not demanding as much. It is not as loud. The kick at the interior cage doors isn't as forceful. Yet it makes sure you both are aware that it's there. That the only thing that will help is right there on the porch.
So, once we stop the car, I'm not going to leave the woman standing there staring at us for too long. I throw on my most human face and smile, hop out of the car like I'm a little lost, but I think I know where I'm at. So kind of the shy young white guy smile on his face, walks up to the steadfast woman and asks, am I lucky enough to have found the Freeman house?
Mm-hmm. What's wrong?
Well, I run a business over in Gary, and I made some money. And
Miss Stewart don't do handout for businesses.
No. I wanted to see if there was anything I could do to help the Freeman house. Because I want to give back. And, I mean, you've been to Gary. Not a lot of places like this survive there very long. But you guys are doing good, and I wanted to see if I could help with that.
I ain't dumb enough to go to Gary. And nothing to do in Gary except for die. I can do that right here. I don't work here anyway. You can go inside and talk to somebody in the office.
Okay. But this is the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, what?
Come on, we found it. And I look back at Ben.
Ben slips from the car, trying to look as unimposing as possible, and knowing that's kind of hard with the amount of muscle that they have, but hoping the dress softens all that. And catching up with Marcus. Ah, thank goodness. It's been a really long drive.
She doesn't say a word, but you can almost hear the first Godzilla playing as Godzilla sees King Kong and is prepared to prove King monsters. As Ben steps out of the car, bright and bubbly and all too human, she makes eye contact, looks over from head to toe and back, and stops at Ben's eyes, and you can hear the first strains striking. Boom, 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 boom. But she manages to keep her mouth shut and just watch as you both walk past her. You can tell that if this was just a few years earlier, she may have spit on the ground.
I go inside fairly quickly to avoid giving her a temptation and try to find a front desk.
Oh, that's easy enough. As you all enter in, there are several couches gathered around what would be the foyer of the building. Just past it, there is a little IKEA desk. Behind that desk is a guy wearing a black polo, tan slacks, and the chest of a middle linebacker. It's clear that those days are far in the past, but the gut, as the gut says otherwise, that he's not quite as healthy. There's still a massive wall of a man. Welcome to the Freeman Shelter. How can we help you tonight?
Hi, my name's Farmer, and I have a business over in Gary that actually is making me money these days.
You're about the only one. What do you do? You hit the lottery?
No, I work online, so I'm not selling to the people in Gary.
Oh, that's smart. Wouldn't make anything that way. I used to live in Gary up until about 10 years ago. My family's from there. You know the Jacksons?
Well, I've only been there 10 years myself, but I don't get out of the factory very much.
I'm sorry. Where are my manners? And it ends up and reaches over the desk, which is no reach at all. It is as large as his chest denotes and as wide.
No, you're.
He offers his hand and shake. Don't laugh. My name is Steve.
Steve?
You all take it. Yes, Steven. He pauses as, at this point, most people have made the connection between his name, his size, his skin tone, and curly hair, and you can tell that he's braced for it. But even as out of circulation as Ben is with pop culture, Steven Universe playing in your head. We are the crystal, and keep from responding and keep from saying it, but it's clear that he's heard it several times ad nauseum.
Actually, what Ben was thinking was more of when he said Gary and Jackson's. She's looking at him like, does he look like one of the Jacksons?
Not quite. He's not 3J.
Well, Steve, a farmer here, and it's glad to meet you. I brought myself over here purely because there isn't any place like this over in Gary. You know that. Any place that opens up trying to be helpful over there ends up getting burnt down or covered in spray paint, whatever. And I heard good things about what you guys are doing for this area, and I was wondering if I can take my good luck and help you guys with it. Wanted to see what you were doing here and see how maybe I could help.
Oh, definitely. That would be great. We normally have a drive at our Chicago location, but and unfortunately, Miss Stewart isn't here tonight. I can show you around the public areas, but she'd be more along the lines telling you some of the programs that we have, some of the more exclusive programs that we have. We have several training academies throughout both Chicago, Thornton Township, Dalton, Riverdale, Chicago Heights, Harvey, Phoenix. We're opening 2 more in the next year. But right this way, he picks up a clipboard. I'm gonna need you both to sign in first, however.
Well, being the computer nerd and engineer that I am, I signed B. Farmer in the most illegible handwriting that has been seen on the face of this earth, short of a doctor.
And you, ma'am?
She takes the clipboard and signs her mother's name, which is funny because she got in trouble a lot in school for that, not wanting to bring home report cards, so she would forge her mother's name. So yeah, she's gotten a little better over the years, but yeah, she signs by Long Sien.
Oh, well, it's that. That's okay. All right. Well, right this way. Let's start in the kitchen. That's the heart of a home, and Miss Stewart has been really. Well, it's kind of funny. There's a, according to Miss Stewart, when she began Freeman House, there was a small little rinky-dink shelter being run out of a 2-story building, a small home. Not like here, not with much space, but it was being run out of a little small home. Then they moved to this refurbished, huge. Anyway, they one of their former clients, part of their outreach, is an actual local renowned cook. I don't know if you've heard of Chef Amalia. Anyway, she fell on hard times, had a psychological break, and the Harrisville shelter were responsible for not only rehabilitating her and bringing her back to herself, but her cooking is one of the reasons why the shelter receives donations as it does. And that idea that people can bond over and that food has restorative properties is one of the reasons why Ms. Stewart ensured that each training facility and Freeman House that is open has as large a kitchen as possible. Do 8 full-course meals a day, along with 3 different open dining snacks. Gotta keep your energy up, because not all of our clients decide to live in-house with us. I'm coming. It takes a lot to win over people's trust, but we do our best. We offer computer classes, we offer resume building classes, we offer literacy and general education courses. We also are one of the 3 non-state funded institutes that can administer the GED itself. We have associate level training courses so that our clients, if they wish, can pursue a trade. And yeah, let's take a walk upstairs. I can't take you into the dorms. I can merely show you where they are, so you know that we do have the space. This building, this location houses 75 full-time clients, 25 part-time clients, and our doors during our feeding periods, during our meal periods, can serve upwards of 500 people at a time, so chose. Usually we're somewhere in the neighborhood of just under 200.
As they are walking through, Ben is looking around, taking note, of the layout, looking for potentially where the office would be inside the building, so that they would know if they could get outside of the building where the office would sit.
Okay.
Marcus was paying attention to the part where they were doing computer and resume training. And as Steven is showing them through the kitchen and heading upstairs, it's like, so do you have like your own little computer room in here where everybody can play together?
We do. Unfortunately, it's not large enough for what we've done. And then he pauses and turns around and heads back downstairs, leading you down the hall past the kitchen into a slightly more secluded area, what would normally be a back deck, but that has been widened, lengthened, and retrofitted so that there are rows of desks. But because we can't get everyone here at the same time, and he moves into the room, into the front portion of it, behind the pull-down screen, there's a wall of tablets and charging stations. These, and he takes one out, hands it to Marcus, these allow anyone inside the building to be part of the network, and there's it has a camera and it has an attachable keyboard depending on what they need. For instance, and he takes one of the keyboards out and slides it in, and you could type with a nearly full-size keyboard. You see it's smaller, but it's close enough, and you could be part of the training courses anywhere in the house at that moment. They are even waterproof. I'm not sure how Ms. Stewart was able to manage that, but supposedly, not waterproof, spill resistant.
Yeah.
That is an important distinction.
I dabble in computers, so I understand some of the ins and outs of keeping these things safe. I know they'd be a hell of an investment if you had to replace them every day.
They would, which is interesting. One of our donors, Ballard Industries, also provides repair. There's I believe it's a lifetime, as long as the unit itself is complete together and hasn't been broken or cracked. They offer us a discounted repair rate.
Yeah, I'm aware of Ballard. They're a good firm, especially for organizations such as yourselves. If they're volunteering or discounting the work, that's great.
Ms. Stewart has been a lifesaver for a lot of our clients and even some of our staff. I know I shouldn't speak ill of anyone, but I was here at our city location when one of our girls were attacked, and one of our staff members took it upon themselves, took the law into their own hands, and according to Ms. Stewart, they have arrested and are serving time. But Ms. Stewart is able to inspire even worse sort of people to do the right thing. Maybe not as right as they should, but when she has a way with words that most assuredly and is willing to help anyone who needs it. But right this way, let's get back upstairs. I can show you the rest of upstairs. Who have a workout and training room. Well, yeah. That's the reason. I'm sorry. Hang on, Kate. See that for a second?
Mm-hmm.
He takes the tablet, turns it on, swipes through a couple of things, and if you put your information in here, this is donors page. You'll get a plaque in the front portion of not only this location but all of our others as a donor, and we do a biannual dinner where Miss Stewart speaks with all of the donors that can arrive. They can make the appointment, and unlike most charities, unlike most outreach programs, and unlike shelters, we don't do anything out of house, meaning that the night of our internal awards, the biannual evening, it's all done here. We have been trying to get Chef Amalia for years, and I believe that we are very, very close to at least getting her to help us out on our next evening, at least according to Ms. Stewart, that it is a possibility. I'm not sure how close exactly we are, but treat. All I can say.
Well, I can definitely put some info in there. I take the tablet and shuffle off to the side a little bit so I can enter secretly, or at least as far as he's concerned. That's what I'm doing. And I open a second window. One is the donors page that he gave me, and I just throw in one of my throwaway email addresses and physical addresses for one of my Bitcoin drop boxes, and just basically make up a bunch of other shit. And at the same time, I'm going through the network information, seeing what kind of network it is, what kind of security baseline it's running. I don't have all of my programs, but I can definitely put an eyeball on what the network protection looks like. And then I'm going to hand the tablet back after closing out the networking windows.
Okay, excellent. So as you hand the tablet back and tour, you guys are, is there anything else that you all would be attempting while you're on the tour?
Okay, so did I kind of get an idea of where the office was, even though he said we couldn't visit it?
You have an idea, yeah. You have an idea based on areas that were avoided, like in that region or over on that side.
Okay. So Ben is going to just kind of put a placid smile on their face the whole time and put in like little, oh, that's wonderful, that type of things, like they're really listening, but in the meantime they are thinking about access points to the office, and how likely it is that they're going to have to shift into Owl to get to that side of the building unnoticed and get in. If we need to get in, they're going to wait and see what Marcus comes up with first.
Marcus has gotten what he can from the tablet, so he's prepared to skulk in and try to ride in on their network and see what he can find out, but he's not going to do it right in front of Steve. Well, thanks for the tour. I emailed myself that link to the donors page, and my information is on there. So I should be able to figure some stuff out. I do work I mean, money's obviously the easiest thing, but I also do work in computers and in security, so maybe I can drop a line to you in the next couple of days.
Oh, that would be great. And he stops talking as you guys are standing by the front door speaking to him at open. Miss Stewart, these guys were just here to make a donation and potentially lend their services. Standing there in the doorway, dressed to the nines, clearly dressed for a meeting of some sort, and a full-length calf-height dress that shows off the very definition of her femininity, yet presents an air of power. Anyone able to wear that dark, almost blood red shade beneath a cashmere length trench definitely has some semblance and understanding power. For Ben, it is an unwholesome meeting of an equal and a different feel. Does not look as if she could punch through a wall, and look as if she could suffer through a hail of bullets. However, it is clear that she has the intestinal fortitude to stand down even potentially a raging rhinoceros. Do so while educating them on how to better themselves. And for Marcus, this is the first time been within range, face to face with a member of Blue Bloods. And the look on her face, more so than anything else, is like a knife through him. Because it very much is the look of someone who has never met him, but cares about him. The look on her face is the sort that a mother would have meeting their child's friend. I will protect you and keep you as one of my own. And that look, that open welcome and the steel behind it saying that this person actually is the worst excruciating. Is he sure that if he had the opportunity to have been brought over by Naomi, would be one member of the clan, would be taken care of, would be as loved by her as he had by Ben. And on that note, before Naomi has a moment to speak, we will draw to a close of Prequel. I want to thank you all for a lovely episode, and I look forward to what freak. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.